Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Join us on a stroll through the strange, frightening, but always intriguing world of the unexplained. Join us as we tiptoe through the darkness with your hosts, Lizzie, and I'm Bethany. Well, I just got back from visiting the in-laws. It was a wonderful trip. But before I went, I thought, you know what? We're coming up to the season when we're going to be traveling. People travel, for the holidays. Why don't we do traveling scary stories?
And there's nothing more scarier while traveling than other people.
Woo! Oh, amen to that. And other people scare the shit out of me.
Other people's driving. Oh.
Other people's smells.
Ugh.
And just looking at another person. I'm like, ugh.
Do you ever watch those apocalypse movies where they're like the only ones on Earth and think, man, they're lucky?
No, because they look like they need showers.
Well, who cares if you shower? You're the only people on Earth.
Are you serious? I would appreciate somebody...
Is there a better shower than a radioactive shower?
Not on my Fallout shelter, there's not.
Oh, God.
I'm a little addicted to that game.
I know.
Okay. So anyway, we have a handful of stories. I've got some really good ones, but today I'm going to be honorable and let you start us, so don't disappoint me.
Don't disappoint me.
Well, I've had sugar, so I'm in a much better mood than I was last time.
Thank God. So maybe we can stay on focus this time.
I always stay on focus. Okay? I did what I'm supposed to do. You asked me to do this,
You had the
and
brain of a hummingbird last time. Like flitting from one thing to the next.
It's not... Because you start off on saying something else, and it makes me think of something else, and that's how it gets there.
It's
your fault.
Okay, alright. Okay, so, since we've had such a blanket term, traveling frights, anything that's scary.
Not traveling. Okay, whoa.
What?
Reel it back. That is not what I said. I said things that travelers... Oh, you know what? Okay, never mind. Anyway, things that travelers get scared of. Or like things that attack travelers.
I got it. Traveling frights.
Okay, whatever. Just go.
So, I picked something that I found fascinating for years. Is this, and you locals have heard, the stories of the time-traveling road in Nevada.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
Okay, I've heard stories. One night, I was talking to a crazy person that we both know and who have met on several occasions, and as he was smoking his cigarette, told me stories of when he was driving to Las Vegas at night, you know who I'm talking about, saw aliens, lights, orbs, all kinds of things.
Was he taking the alien highway?
Might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's usually the crazy road.
I think he was dropped way too many times as a child, but that's, So yes, I've heard tales of it, but go ahead.
Okay, so I went looking for it, and you know what? It's hard to find stories about this online. It's like, it must be like a local legend. Like the Pyramid Lake water babies, where you can only find a few mentions at best online.
Really? I've not looked that up.
But everyone in town knows it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the same thing here. I did find one story on listverse.com on 10 creepy tales of interdimensional travel.
Oh.
So, listen to this one.
Okay.
This is a quoted story, so. In May 1972, 4 girls were allegedly driving back to Southern Utah University after spending their Saturday at a rodeo in Pioche.
What was that word you just tried to say?
Pioche? I don't know this place.
Where they?
Come on, enlighten us.
I gotta find it first.
Oh my
Where is it? Point at it. Pioche.
Alright, I did pronounce it right.
I think you did. I don't know.
Okay. While crossing the desolate Utah-Nevada state line. See, people, we mispronounce things from our own state. Okay. Back to story. While crossing the desolate Utah-Nevada state line at around 10 p.m., they came upon a fork in the highway, where they veered to the left and began driving through Gedeonton Canyon. Suddenly, the black pavement turned to white cement. Believing they had simply taken a wrong turn, the girls headed back. The wrong way they came.
The wrong way they came?
I misread that.
After last week, I am paying attention.
I'm mildly dyslexic today, okay?
I'm paying attention.
Believing they had simply taken the wrong turn, the girls headed back the way they came.
Right.
But to their surprise, they were suddenly driving past grain fields and ponderosa pines, with no desert in sight.
Okay.
It's driving up to Utah. There's a lot of pines up there.
There's not. Don't you remember when we drove down here from Utah?
Am I thinking?
Yeah, you're not. That's the problem.
Direction.
Go
okay.
on.
God, you're mean today.
I've always been.
They decided to stop at a roadside tavern to cross for directions, but quickly changed their minds after one of the girls began screaming hysterically. 4 egg-shaped vehicles mounted on tricycle wheels with bright lights shining from the top of them began speeding after them. The petrified girls sped back through the canyon as the white cement changed back to its normal black asphalt.
Wait a minute. What year was this?
1972. Did they have Burning Man back then?
Hold up.
Because that could sound
In the
like
middle of
something
the
from Burning Man.
1972. Now, you know they had found the ganja weed, and now you're telling me that they're screaming because a weird-looking car is speeding towards them?
Yeah.
Why are they screaming? It's just a car.
I don't know, it was the 70s. You know, marijuana makes you paranoid.
Lots of things make you paranoid.
Saying college girls.
Try opening a candy bar and kids are in the house. You're paranoid. You think every sound is the child sneaking up to steal that candy bar.
You make the weirdest, simplest things seem extremely...
I'm just...
It's like Mission Impossible.
Just saying. Alright,
Okay.
Go on. So they're screaming because there's egg-shaped cars coming towards them?
Yes. The pavement had turned to white cement.
Did you ever see that movie Hairspray?
I'm middle of the story, and yes.
Yeah, chill.
Okay.
Did you ever see the movie Hairspray?
Yes.
Okay, love that movie. So remember at the end?
Well, I'm good we stopped this.
Okay, so remember towards the end when the mean girl gets into that little car? Wasn't that egg-shaped?
Yeah, but that's like the Pope Mobile, where it's made specialty for parades.
No, it's still egg-shaped. And she was driving that little thing around, and that was in the 60s.
Yeah. No, I don't see it as being a...
I don't know why you would scream.
I don't know why they scream
It sounds
either.
weird to me. Okay, go on.
Oh, dear God. Okay, 4 egg-shaped vehicles mounted on tricycle wheels with bright lights shining from the top of them began speeding after them. The petrified girls sped back through the canyon as the white cement changed back to its normal black asphalt, leading them into the familiar desert. After wrecking in a creek, leaving them with 3 flat tires, they waited a while until morning and to hike to Highway 56, where they flagged down an obvious skeptical state trooper. I feel like I could have read that better.
I think the story could have been better. I think they were just trying to think quick on their feet, and they made that up.
As outlandish as their story seemed, the tire tracks they left are difficult to explain. The only tire tracks left by the girls, Chevy, ended abruptly only 200 meters, about 600 feet, into the desert, which leaves a mystery of how the girls ended up over 31 kilometers, 2 miles north of the highway, with no physical evidence of their travels. The car was also missing a hubcap that was never located, which is not surprising, because even in the desert you can lose shit. But, I mean...
Okay, that's an interesting story. Have they said anything? Have they ever, come out and said, oh, we were just high or drinking or...
No, but with all of these stories that it seems common where they always feel an air of malice around them whenever they travel.
Okay, hold on. Is it an air of malice, or is it just because they don't know where... Whenever you have someone who's unfamiliar with their surroundings,
of course,
don't they always go towards the worst possible thing?
Yeah, you go into panic mode.
Exactly. So
So
maybe they just didn't know. Okay, so if they did go, to a different dimension,
Yeah.
why would there be, and how would they know that okay, here's the thing that always bothered. People say they go to a different dimension, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're wandering around. They're like, oh no, where am I? And all of a sudden, the cops or some authority is chasing them in that other dimension. How do they even know that they're out of place there? Do you know what I'm saying? How did these egg cops know?
Well, it's, that story of that one woman where this is the other dimension. She said she woke up in this dimension and everything's off just a little bit. Like, she's dating a man she doesn't know. Her ex has never met her. She's working at a new place that doesn't remember working at before.
Yeah, but the problem with those ones are, you don't know if they maybe have some kind of a psychotic issue going on.
That's pretty dramatic psychotic issue that your whole life is not right.
There's those people
and most people who have psychotic breaks, they leave it every once in a while.
Yeah, but what about those people who get hit in the head and all of a sudden they've got an accent? Pretty bad accent most of the time. But still, they got accents.
Yeah, but that's one thing. I mean, this is her whole world is different. They still remember their lives. They still remember their family and they still remember speaking English.
Well, I guess. Okay.
Okay.
All right, what's your next one?
So, my next one.
Hopefully it's better.
Oh, wait until you start reading yours.
Mine are good.
The story leading to Las Vegas.
Okay, now where are they coming from? Here's the thing. I know the Las Vegas Highway. We've driven on it more times
Yeah,
than we should.
it is.
It is lonely and desolate, and there's nothing out
and
there.
hot.
Yes, very hot.
It tends to get hot during the summer. You're dying in your car. All you're seeing is Predator on the road.
That was where you told our brother to blow in the dog's face, and he got his face bit.
I got bored.
That was funny.
It was funny.
Okay, let me tell the story.
Okay.
I was about 6, I think, 7. You were about 4 or 5. And our brother was about 3 or 4. And we're sitting in the very back of the car. You have to realize there are 6 kids in this car and 2 adults. So we are in the very, very back of this Jeep. Okay, this very, very, wasn't a Jeep. It was a wagon. What is those things? Anyway, it's an old car.
Wasn't it like before there's seat
belts? It was big. So we're in the very back and we've got our dog with us. The air conditioning's not working very well. It's hot. It's really sweaty. And lovely little Izzy says, hey, you know what would make the dog really happy is if you blew on it so it can cool down because it's so hot. So our brother goes, okay, and blows on the dog's face. The dog growls and nips it in the air. Now, this dog was a sweet, sweet dog, but it was hot, y'all. And nobody wants a stinky little boy's breath in his face. No. So our brother goes, oh, no. And we're like, oh, no. She's just playing with you.
Yeah, she likes that. She
likes it. She just snaps. She's saying, ooh, I want more cool air. I want to eat that cool air. So what does Izzy say? She says, hey, do it again, but a little bit harder. Right in the dog's face. So our dumbass brother leans in and that dog goes and nips his face. It was just a little nip. Dog sound. It was a little nip. But still, my brother screamed, ah!
He was bleeding. It wasn't a nip.
He was just being a baby. So we pull over. My mother gets out of the car. It's hot. They're like, what happened? What happened? Why is he bleeding? And what does Izzy say? Well, he blew in the dog's face. And all my brother can say is, ah! So
Never got in trouble for it.
Gets in trouble for blowing in the dog's face because you shouldn't do that. When the whole time, it was our own satanic evil.
I never got in trouble for anything when I was little.
Ugh. Oh. All right, so I digress. Go back to your
obviously. So, the story leading to Las Vegas, I could not find online. This is a complete word-of-mouth story. So, I might have gotten some things wrong.
So you made it up?
Because I didn't make it up.
Okay.
This is what I've heard.
Whoa, don't get so defensive. No, you only get defensive because you made it up. Right? I'm sorry.
So if anyone's heard this, you can feel free to correct me. Send us an email. But, okay, so it tells of a guy about college age heading up to Las Vegas. It's a long, hot, boring drive.
Where's he coming from?
I don't know. I don't remember that part of the story.
Well, it's important because there's... Okay, fine.
Beautiful sunrise, lovely sunset, but too hot to focus in between. It was at night, and he was beginning to get drowsy. He sees a small roadside, one-stop shop. He didn't remember seeing on his trip to Vegas, so he's coming from Vegas.
Oh, there is no shop, so... Okay, go on.
There isn't a shop.
Yeah.
So he sees a small roadside. Either way, he stops. He begins to get out. When he finally notices the other people, they are driving old vehicles, which isn't unusual in Nevada. No. There are a lot of places where you find it's only really old, especially with the hot August nights in Reno.
Yeah.
So, and that's not unusual, but it's all old vehicles. What's unusual is that they're all staring at him angrily, all very menacing.
Like they're gonna stab him, or like he just ran over their petunias?
He was scared enough that it didn't get out of his car. He had like a leg out. He immediately jerked it back in, shut the door, and started his car up again.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know what's going on, but these people are obviously do not want him there. When he gets into his car, he notices a particularly mean-looking guy getting into his car. He starts up his car, he bolts out of there, and the guy in the mean guy follows him. Now, the mean-looking guy is in a much older car, but he's not able to keep pace. Our man in the story, he passes him pretty fast. He gets ahead, but he's scared to slow down because the guy is still right there on his tail. He takes a turn, hoping to lose him, and a cop stops him. You know, there's a lot of speed traps along there, so...
Well, you can find a cop.
Yeah, you only find him when you're speeding. But, so the cop pulls him over. He tells this cop what happened. The cop's like, there's no stops here, there's no little shops. I don't know what you're talking about. And they're on a desolate road, so he can see back there that there's no cars behind him. But the guy's freaking out. The cop thinks drugs, or he's just exhausted, he fell asleep on the road and had a dream. They go back. The cop takes him back anyway because the guy's hysterical. Shows him that the shop is gone, obviously, and all the people are gone. I think he gets a ticket and he goes home, but he still has the story.
Okay.
Does that ring bells to you?
No.
You really? I've heard the story.
You know, I don't hear a lot. I mean, the ones that I hear about the Nevada driving from Reno, or not Reno, I'm sorry, Las Vegas, those are all weird lights. A phantom car is speeding alongside of you, keeping pace with you.
Older cars are really futuristic cars.
Weird creatures. you can glimpse it out in the desert.
Yeah, we get a few. I've heard of those few sightings where it's like a car-sized wolf is running with a.
Or we went through Vegas. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And 3 years ago we were driving from Vegas back to Reno, and we went through Tonopah, and there's the Clown Motel there. I couldn't get the girl out of the car to look at the Clown Motel. We were across the street from it, and she refused to even look at it.
Yeah, it looks like sounds like a House of Nightmares.
It's pretty creepy. But if anyone's ever traveling from Vegas, go to Tonopah.
Yes.
Go see the Clown Motel. Just Google Clown Motel. It'll show you exactly what we're talking about. Everybody, if you're into the paranormal, want to stop at the Clown Motel. It is desolate. It's creepy. It's worth a stay.
Or if you're going down the alien highway, stop by the black mailbox. Leave a love letter. Just make an alien happy.
That's nice. It's always good.
Okay, so here's why I am very interested in the time travel roads in Nevada. Because apparently they might have found a little validation.
What?
Paranormal researcher Joshua Warren, I found this on the Newsweek website.
I've heard of him.
Found that U.S. Highway 95 leading out of Las Vegas has a time warp that slows down 20 microseconds and claims he has evidence.
What's the evidence?
I don't know. It didn't say that in the article.
Oh, jeez Louise.
I know.
All right, go on.
So he said, quote, I think there may be a space-time warp on the edges of the city, but there has been so much man-made tech nearby that it's taken a while to realize what's naturally happening in the surrounding hills and mountains.
That is creepy.
That's creepy. The article ends with, though Warren didn't make his discovery with conventional science, NASA scientists found similar wrinkles in the time-space fabric. The agency Gravity Probe B asserted Einstein's claim that Earth's gravity affected space and time travel. Researchers observed gyroscopes and found small changes in the direction they spun as they moved around the Earth's gravitational pull. NBC News reported in 2011. So if he found even 20 microseconds, it might not seem like a big deal, but it might be evidence of something bigger.
Wasn't it Einstein who believed that time was like a taco that folded in on itself?
I've heard that before, but I don't know if it was Einstein.
But so, I mean, I do believe in other dimensions. I'm sure there's other dimensions, and that is weird. All that in our backyard. Mm-hmm. Now we got to plan another trip. Will you do? Because I don't actually want to have.
No, I heard this theory once that was the blanket dimension.
Okay.
Where it's like a blanket laying down over a city. You put a blanket down, it's still going to have the same structure of the city, everything else. It's still part of the city. We can't see this blanket dimension, but it's laying over us.
It's not like a Neil Gaiman book.
No, it wasn't from a book. I actually saw this from a documentary I was watching about multi-dimensions.
I know, but it isn't like that Neil Gaiman book, the Everywhere, I think it was called.
I never read it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
I cannot believe that there's a Neil Gaiman book out there you haven't read.
I've read all his comic books.
You know what? Don't try to save yourself. Alright, do you have any other stories to regale us?
On this, no. I have on my cryptid.
Tell us your cryptid.
Do you want me to move on to that, or you want to add the rest of it?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Do yours, and then I'll do mine.
Okay. My other subject is another place close to my heart, Oregon Cannon Beach.
Okay.
It's this beautiful drive down along the beach. Mm-hmm. It's between Manzanita and Seaside.
Is that the one with the shipwreck you can go out and see?
No, that's higher up near Astoria.
Oh.
Well, I think it's Cannon Beach, yeah, because it has Haystack Rock.
I think so, yeah.
It's the wreck of the Airedale.
Yes.
It's it's a rusty old wreck, and people still take their kids out there to play on it.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's also a rusty old wreck. You don't want your kids to get hurt on it.
Gosh, such a party pooper.
Yeah, I think they should have left the cannon on the beach.
That'd been awesome. Alright, so what's up with that place?
Okay, so, one of my favorite cryptids, along Highway 101, he smells of rotten flesh and oozes, and he's often seen running unnaturally fast on the highway along the cars. It is the Bandage Man.
I thought he was called the Rag Man.
He's mostly called the Bandage Man.
Sounds better with rag.
I don't know.
Why are you putting him with cryptids?
Here's why.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so every story about him, it's different. Alright, I've heard versions where he's a Lover's Lane monster, and I heard one where he is like Resurrection Mary, where he shows up in the car with you.
Ugh.
Totally Spectre-like. Okay. But other stories where he's actually banging on your car door, trying to break it open to get in.
Is he like looking at you the whole time?
Yeah.
So he's running, but his head is pointed towards you.
Yeah.
Looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to break into your car.
Yes.
So the top half of his body is turned.
And he causes actual damage.
Are you supposed to not look at him, or what?
The secret I heard by one person, this is only for the versions of him where he's more specter-like, is to always make sure you have something in the empty seats in your car. Bags of laundry, children, just fill the seats up. Otherwise, he will come into your car with you, and he will distract you enough that you get into an accident.
Is it for the entire drive, or just for a certain area that he
And
haunts?
it's only for that stretch.
Oh, does he say anything?
No.
He just smells.
He smells bad. He's oozing.
Oh. Does it look like a
And
dude
he's like,
or like a zombie?
He looks like a dude. He looks like a man that has been terribly mangled, badly bandaged, and kind of psychotic.
And does he smile at you or something?
Yeah, he's got I heard stories where he's smiling. He's like, and the version I heard is that he distracts you while you're driving, so he actually turns and smiles at you the entire time.
I don't like that one.
Which one do you think is worse? Him smiling sitting beside you, or trying to break into your car?
Sitting beside you.
That is creepier.
Because you feel like you've got a sense of safety. If you can just get away from this area, he can't come in. But if he's already in, what's
But that's just the highway version of him. The Lover's Lane is where he'll go into the spots where couples stop to neck.
Yeah.
And he will bang onto the cars. He'll bang on top of the car, trying to break into the car.
Has he ever gotten in?
No.
It's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the Hook Man.
Right. So that's why he's kind of cryptid. It's because he's also physical. He's not just a ghost.
Well, I don't like that.
So here's, and just like there's different versions of him, there's several different origins.
Okay.
So, one I heard, where there was a logger, or he worked at a sawmill.
A rabbi and
versions I've
priest?
heard.
Did they go into a bar?
Alright, so he was a logger, or worked at a sawmill, that got horribly mangled. This was back before ambulances and 911 or any safety measures, and they tried to fix him up by bandaging him up as they rode into town to a hospital when they got into a horrible accident.
Right in that stretch of area.
Mm-hmm. And he rolled out onto the road, which he now runs.
Was he squished? Did somebody run over him?
In one version, he was in a horrible fire.
Okay.
One version is he was in a horrible fire at an asylum, and they were bandaging him up and trying to rush him into another hospital, because obviously the asylum's burnt down. And when the car gets into an accident, again, he flies out of the car. But because he's in shock, he stands up and he starts running.
Oh, yeah.
And then a car hits him.
Okay, I like that one.
So that makes sense why he's always running on the highway. So I've heard both. First, I tried to do research, trying to see if there was any asylums near that area.
Yeah.
But the only ones I can find are the ones in Salem and Portland. So, but then again, we know that for a time there was a stretch between California and Oregon where they were popping up little asylums all over the place.
Yeah.
They'd show up and then shut down.
That's creepy. Okay. Well, was that the last of your tales?
So I got one. Shut up. It's a long night. Okay, so here's one story. I actually found it on a car insurance site.
Wait, what?
It was on a car insurance site.
A car insurance site?
WestsidePortlandInsurance.com.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. Try to get my story voice on to read this one better.
You have
than
the
other ones.
on your butt.
Okay. One night, two of the local kids were up there doing just what teenage boys and girls do when they are parked on a dark, windy road.
I thought... You added the girl part way too late. I was like, oh!
I actually heard it where it was just guys. Another story where it's just guys goofing around.
Oh!
Experiment.
Hell yeah.
Okay, alright. That is where the story started. One night, two of the local kids were up there doing just what teenage boys and girls do when they are parked on dark, lonely roads. The boy had an old Chevy pickup and his girl and he were sitting in the cab. All of a sudden, they felt the truck sort of lean like something was moving around in the bed of the truck. They turned to look out the rear window, and there looking back was a bandaged face with only some weird-looking eyes showing through eye holes in the bandages. The bandaged figure started beating on the glass and the top of the cab. The kid started his engine, got it gear, and tore out of there. His girlfriend screaming in terror as the man in the back continued his pounding. Right, so I love how the girl is doing nothing but screaming.
Okay, alright, I gotta tell you the story.
That is how us women work.
So, okay. When me and the husband were first dating, he decided, this was our third date, so he decided to take me for a drive, okay?
Why do you guys do this?
Okay, so he takes me for a drive. We're in his big ass truck, which by the way was rude. I was wearing a skirt. I did not want to hike my legs up to get into this big truck. Which, if you're listening, I love you now, but I had to really stretch. And I was wearing stuff to hold everything in.
All right.
Anyway, so I've
got so many of these kind of dates where the guy takes you out. It's a first or second or even third date, and they take you out into the middle of nowhere because they think it's romantic. And it would be romantic if I was 100% sure you were not a psychopath.
Okay.
But on the third date, you don't know.
So, right? And so we're driving up on the hills overlooking Reno, Nevada, okay? And the lights, and it's really pretty. And I look at him and I say, ha ha ha, this is like out of a story where the killer takes the young girl up into the hills and kills her and dumps her on the side of the mountain. And do you know what he said? He turns to me, straight face as he's driving. He says, I usually do, but I dump them over there. But you're special. I'm giving you your own spot. And I went, ha ha!
And that's how you knew it was love.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, so, and that's a true story. He did say that. So we're driving, and we come across this car that's parked out in the middle of nowhere, in the dark, for no reason. Okay? All right? Are you listening?
Yeah,
Okay. He pulls up, and he pulls only around a corner and stops. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I thought we could look at the lights. No, because there's a serial killer parked behind us. No, I'm not going to stay here. So he starts the car, and we go back the way we came, which the car was still sitting there, and we went up a different way, and well, you know what usually happens. Okay, so that was super creepy, right?
All right.
I have an even creepier story.
Do tell.
So we were in Reno. Anyway, we were married now, okay? He decides to take me for a moonlight drive in the truck. So we go up in this really steep hill up into the mountains, okay? Now this was like Wednesday or Thursday, so it was during the week. Wasn't on the weekend. On the weekends you'd think there'd be kids up there partying, whatever. During the week. Drives me up there. And as we pull up there, we pass a car, again, sitting in the middle of nowhere. Are you done?
Yes.
Sitting in the middle of nowhere, there's somebody in the front seat. Okay? The engine's running. You can see the exhaust. So we pull up a little further until you can't see him, and he turns the car off. He turns the car off. The doors are unlocked, and then he turns to me and he wants to start making out. I'm not making out with him in an unlocked car with the light on, and I can't. That guy is parked back there. And I told him, I'm not having sex with you if there's a serial killer behind us, because they're going to sneak up here and they're going to kill us.
You know, for what men mistake as female hysterics is us just saving their lives over and over and over again.
So he goes, okay, and I'm freaking out. He goes, all right, we'll go to a different hill. Starts the car, okay, goes back to where we came. That car is closer now, and I don't see anybody in the car.
So are you saying Christine was hunting you?
No, because somebody was in the car when we passed. When we came back, nobody's in the car.
You know how many serial killers I hear they like to aim for couples?
No, there's not that many.
Yeah. It wasn't like the Son of Sam. He shot couples.
No, he didn't. He was shooting the girl.
I thought you aimed for couples.
I think you're right.
And there was that one in California.
Oh, the Zodiac?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The bat on his head?
Yeah. Because something about seeing two people happy that just grates on the rest of us single people.
I guess.
Okay.
I mean, technically, my son should have been named Dodge, if you get my drift. Okay, anyway. Okay, so that was my creepy, in the wood, in the desert kind of thing. Anyway, so I thought, okay, what is the story that everybody thinks of when you're talking about something spooky happens to you when you're traveling? Resurrection Mary.
Okay.
So I'm looking up different stories and origins of Resurrection Mary, and I find a Wikipedia page all about Resurrection Mary. And this one, and this is a classic one. We've all heard this tale. This is in Chicago area, okay? The story goes that Mary had spent the evening dancing with a boyfriend at the O. Henry Ballroom. At some point, they got into an argument and Mary stormed out. She left the ballroom and started walking up Archer Avenue. She had not gotten very far when she was struck and killed by a hit-and-run driver who fled the scene, leaving Mary to die. Her parents found her and were grief-stricken at the sight of her dead body. They buried her in Resurrection Cemetery, wearing a beautiful white dancing dress and matching dancing shoes. The hit-and-run driver was never found. Okay? So now, when it's stormy or foggy or dreary of a night, the driver, and usually it's around midnight to a little bit later, maybe early in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's no other drivers around. Driver comes up and he sees a beautiful, lovely young girl in a pretty dress walking all by herself. And the dress is too cool, too warm to be out in this weather, okay? Or too cold, It's just a strappy dress. So the driver almost always will stop, offer her a ride. Sometimes she'll say, can you take me home? Sometimes she won't speak at all. Sometimes she just points. She gets in the car and the driver is always smitten because she's beautiful. And they get a sense of sadness about her.
How many times do you think she's gotten the door open and guy hollers at her, cash, ass, or grass?
Well, hopefully never. Anyway, so he drives her.
Can you offend a ghost?
You're offending me. So he either drives her to the cemetery because that's where she says to go, or when they're driving past the cemetery, she disappears, or she points and she gets out of the car and she disappears through the gate because supposedly there's a gate. So we all know that story, right? That's creepy. It's a good story not to pick up hitchhikers.
Mm-hmm.
I found some others. Now, okay, so my story, now I've got a couple of stories, okay? This is by Vicky Chow, and this is on Ranker. Oh, I love Ranker. Have you ever gone to Ranker?
No.
Oh, they got some good stories.
Okay.
So this one is pretty good. I'm going to read it for you. It's a little creepy. I don't know what you think.
Okay.
This past winter, I hiked a very high peak with a buddy of mine and camped out overnight. Everything was fine the entire first day we were there. We had a great night's sleep and woke up early to hike back on the hiking parking area. On the way back down the trail, my friend and I noticed that someone else had been hiking as well. About a mile after weight of walking, I stopped and saw that my full name, first and last, was drawn into the snow on the side of the footpath. I didn't do it. Neither did my friend. It was snowing a bit throughout the night, and if it was drawn the day before, the snow would have covered it. We both got a bit freaked out and decided to hustle back to our car so we could get out of there. We finally got back to the parking area, and I went to sign myself out of the registry book. When I turned the page to where I signed in, I saw that someone had scribbled out all of my information so you couldn't read it anymore. No one else had signed in the book beside myself for 3 days. I will never be going back there again.
Sounds like creepypasta.
Everything can be creepypasta. Alright, I got another one.
Okay.
Now this one has a little bit of fact to it.
Oh,
Bushwalking.
like the last one.
Well, that was a little. I have a better one.
Okay.
Don't judge me on that one.
Okay.
I do.
This is a build-up.
Here's a problem. I do like camping, creepy stuff in the forest, almost as much as I like creepy stuff that happens on the water. Bushwalking in Australia, me and my friend came across this weird platform-looking thing made out of rocks. Later that year, the cops arrested some bloke on suspicion of the murders of a series of backpackers who had gone missing over the course of a couple of years. And at the sites of several of the murders, slightly off in the bush, there were these altars. Turns out, it was the altars that we had found. They were typically no more than 300 yards from the victim's shallow graves. The guy who was arrested and subsequently convicted for the murders is Ivan Mullet, Australia's worst serial killer. You remember him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've heard the tales about
Yeah,
Mullet?
Australia has the craziest.
Oh, yes. Remember the lady who skinned?
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit. Okay, so that's pretty creepy.
Yes.
This is why I don't go camping. And you don't go hiking. That's what those two things teach you. Don't do it. You don't belong out there. Leave it to Bigfoot and mountain men. Okay, so now I have a couple of creepy tales. These are terrifying tales of urban legends coming to life by Eric Redding. And I would advise you to go to this website because there's a whole lot more tales than what I have here. Okay, so if I may, I've tried to forget this for years. In high school, my buddies and I used to country cruise in the backwoods to a spot called Witch's Cove. It was a small valley surrounded by woods next to a one-lane cobblestone bridge. Rumor had it, devil worshippers did rituals under the bridge. We'd been there dozens of times to smoke and drink without seeing anyone, but one night we pulled up and there was a bonfire in the valley. There were people dancing around the fire and jumping through it. Some were naked. We got out and approached them, thinking they were partying. One guy walked up and addressed us all by our names, but we didn't know who he was. He asked, "Do you believe in God?" We all shrugged our shoulders and said, "Yeah." He laughed at us and said we better have, so we left, terrified. Being immediately creeped out, we got in the car and left. My buddy sitting in the passenger seat jumped and screamed, "WTF is that?" pointing next to our car. It was hard to see because there was tall weeds growing next to the road, but it looked like somebody was crawling on all fours next to our car, going 35 to 40 miles an hour. It was so fast, it passed us. We were flipping out, and we eventually came to a stop in the road. As we were about to stop, we saw the same guy who approached us in the bonfire standing by the stop sign, smiling at us. At that point, we did about 85 all the way back to town. One of my friends was so scared he went home and had his folks call their pastor to come over and pray with him. Of course, everyone at school said we were just high or drunk. Even my folks didn't believe me.
So where does this take place?
It doesn't say the name of the town.
It's in the United States?
Yeah.
I've heard some gin stories that were just like that. And, it's some skinwalker stories similar to that as well.
Well, I get terrified of the cockroach crawls. In movies, I can't take that stuff. It's so that's creepy to me. I don't like that stuff. So, okay, so I have another one. Same article. Like I said, it was by Eric Redding, and I advise you guys to go there and read these. These are terrifying. They're pretty creepy.
Okay.
So I had a football coach back in high school who was also one of my teachers for a semester. He told us one story that freaked all of us out pretty bad. He had a coaching job at a small college in Montana when he was a lot younger and newly married. He said that after practice one evening, he was making his long commute home, and the route ran alongside just fields and fields of hay, grain, whatever. Since it was late summer/early fall, it wasn't even approaching dark yet. His car was an old beat-up truck and just a bench seat inside. Anyway, he was driving along when he sees a hitchhiker on the shoulder. This being back in the day in a small town Montana, my teacher pulled over to let the guy in without a second thought. The guy was described as wearing a really old, outdated style of suit. Not quite a zoot suit, but styled in a similar baggy way. He also had a big, stylish hat. This guy looked like he was out of the 40s and sort of like a pimp. My teacher thought it was weird that he was so overdressed, being super hot out, but maybe this was the only clothing he had. So the guy gets in next to my teacher without a word. Teacher asks him where he needs to go, and the guy just points forward. Teacher drives on. Which, if anybody doesn't talk to you, they just point. Well, first off, you shouldn't have let somebody in your car you don't know.
Yeah.
Second off, they're just gonna point.
Yeah, you don't know. They might be hiding something in their mouth.
Like a bug?
Needle.
A needle.
You can kill someone with a needle. Stick it in your eye.
I wonder what goes through your brain somewhere at times.
That's what's going in my brain.
Somebody jumping on you, sticking a needle in your eye.
Yeah, I have a fear of crazy people biting my nose.
Does he ask if you've crossed your heart? Do you hope to die? Oh my god! That could be a new movie. You know how they make those shitty, scary movies? This is our new person. Will you cross your heart? Do you hope to die? Let me stick this needle. And die! Later, my teacher tried talking to the guy.
Hollywood steals our idea.
You know they will, because that was damn good. Plus, it's got a rhyme. Itself writes itself. Yeah.
So did that whole sentence.
So later, my teacher tried talking to the guy. Just trying to make simple conversation, but the guy wouldn't speak or even acknowledge him. He just pulled his hat down like he was sleeping. Okay, he's definitely hiding needles in his mouth now.
Yeah, dude, right?
Out of nowhere, the guy just tips up his hat, looks out the window, and says, "Stop the car now." My teacher pulls over and lets him out, not wanting to offend a possible crazy guy. What did he? Okay. Anyway.
Don't pick up hitchhikers, especially if they're men.
Sexist. Women can be just as crazy. Remember Eileen Warnes? She killed people.
She killed men.
It could be like Pazan.
Panzeram?
That's what I wanted to say.
Shazam sounds like a genie. Shazam! Oh, that's what our next week should be.
We'll see. Okay. The guy stands on the side of the road for a second, and then at a dead sprint just runs off into the field beside the road until my teacher couldn't see him anymore. Granted, the crop was fairly tall. He waits there for a while, thinking maybe the guy just had the runs or something and didn't want to shit next to the road. That's logical.
Yeah, that's something I could appreciate.
After a long enough wait, my teacher gets back in the truck and starts to accelerate down on the road. The thing about really old trucks is they don't accelerate very fast. As my teacher got back onto the road, he looked into his rearview mirror to check for a safe merge. But there wasn't a car in sight. What was there was the hitchhiker, on all fours like an animal, running/crawling after the truck at an inhuman speed. Just imagine that. Now, that doesn't matter if this story is real or not. Just imagine seeing
humans are not that fast on all fours. On all fours, we are not that fast.
No. You know what I'm thinking of? Did you ever see that Wizard of Oz, the second movie? Travel Back to Oz. Remember that?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Remember I think they're called wheelies? Those guys at the witch? That's what I'm seeing in my head. And I those things gave me nightmares when I was a little kid.
Yeah, those were scary.
They were. Okay.
And I saw Hellraiser when I was little.
Meanwhile, my teacher is beginning to fishtail as he attempts to go faster. The whole time he keeps his eyes glued on the mirror, watching the man chase after the car. Eventually, he was able to get up to speed and lost sight of the guy in his mirror. When he was able to stop at a gas station to use a payphone, he called his wife at home to tell her the story and to lock up the house. She thinks he's just messing with her and that he had been talking to a coworker about a hitchhiker. When he asks why she would think that, apparently she tells him at her office in the town she worked in, one of the co-workers told her a story of the exact same thing happening to them, and that it is a well-known urban legend in that town. She thought it was just folks playing with the new girl in town who knew that she had to drive home alone at night.
Do adults play with the new girl in town? Is that because I've heard of them doing that in schools, but do they do that? Is there a place where adults actually do that?
What, tease each other?
No, like, we gotta mess with her. She's the new girl in town.
Yeah. Okay. When we
Alright.
were working at that big box store where you have to wear blue,
Yes.
you know, so...
Names will not be said.
Yes.
The store that will not be named.
There was remember the guy who was in charge of the maintenance crew, and he told us about what his boss, when he first started there, was doing to that stupid cashier.
Yeah.
The cashier that kept on complaining about him and saying that they didn't do their job. And so he said that one of the end caps was loose, and it had, you know, the ranch that you have to shake up, not ranch, but the salad dressing you got to shake up to get poured in the salad. Well, he told her that if she didn't keep shaking it, that they would have to, they wouldn't be able to sell that salad dressing. And her, being stupid, shook it. So the CSN walks over there and is like, "What are you doing?" Because she was shaking the whole end cap. And she goes, "Well, he went to go get the stabilizer so it'll shake itself, but until he gets back, I have to shake the end cap so the salad dressing doesn't go bad." I don't know if that was true or not, but that was hella funny.
Yeah, but okay, that's revenge, not just messing with the new girl. I don't know, it just struck me as an incredibly immature thing.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't immature. But, you know, some people think that, I don't know. It's a good story, though.
It is a good story.
I don't like crawlers.
I would say that was your best story.
Is it because I was reading someone else's story?
Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing?
Oh, there's also stories of skinwalkers.
What was that supposed to mean? You know what?
I don't know what.
I know what you're implying.
I've implied nothing, madame. There's also stories of skinwalkers running alongside your car.
I love skinwalker stories.
If you are not of Native American.
Or if you are, Native Americans are just as scared of them.
Yes, but I see how a lot
I've talked to plenty of pirate or like, you don't mess with that shit.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it, but they'll run alongside of you, and if you look them directly in the eye, they'll follow you to your home and stalk you. I'm guessing to eat you or whatever they do with you. I wouldn't want to find out.
I heard an old story, and I don't know if this is true or not, or an actual Native American legend, but one where a tribe of skinwalkers get a girl from another village married to one of their guys, and when she realizes what tribe she's part of, she freaks out and tries to go home, but her people just kick her out, saying, "Sorry, you have to be along with them now because we don't want them messing with us."
Ugh. So she go back?
Yeah.
Aww. But was she in love with him? I mean, maybe he's in love with her.
Yeah, in the story he shows up, he's incredibly attractive, tall, powerful guy, so, you know.
Love at first sight?
Lust at first sight, anyway.
Ugh, isn't that the way it is? Well, that was interesting, and I hope that this gives everyone out there who's going to be traveling for the holidays something to look forward to. You could see the Raggedy Man or Resurrection Mary.
Man.
Whatever. I want to call him the Raggedy Man. It's creepier that way.
It is.
All right, well, that was fun. So, for next episode, what do you think we should talk about?
Let's leave it a surprise.
Surprise.
Surprise!
That's not how we end our show.
How do we end our show?
Thank you for listening. This has been your host, Bethany.
And Izzy.
And we hope that you tune in next week for a surprise.
Always ends with a surprise.
You're supposed to wah. Why do we do this every single time?
All right.
Go on.
Wah ha ha ha.
You know what? You suck.